You ever been stuck between a rock and a hard place? I mean, really, truly stuck. You're facing a choice where the right answer feels completely out of reach, and, every single path seems to have a pretty serious downside. Well, today, we're going to dive into a framework for navigating those incredibly difficult personal decisions. We're going to explore a toolkit that can help you find your way through even the toughest moral dilemmas. I want to start with a pretty heavy word: perdition. Now, in a religious sense, it means damnation, hell. But for what we're talking about today, let's think of it figuratively. It's that gut-wrenching fear of making a choice you can never, ever take back, a decision that leads to this profound, irreversible regret. It's that very fear that can make these moments so paralyzing. So let's start right there, with the emotional core of the problem, the fear of perdition. This isn't just about making a simple mistake, right? This is about the huge emotional stakes that come with our most significant life choices. This, right here, is what we are all desperately trying to avoid. It's that sinking feeling, that deep anguish of looking back and just knowing you made a fundamentally wrong turn, one that caused real harm to yourself or to people you care about. That feeling, it's like the ghost that haunts every difficult decision we face. So, if we're trying to avoid that outcome, how do we actually make the choice? It's not just about avoiding the worst case scenario, it's about actively finding the best path forward. And that brings us to the core internal conflict we all face, trying to balance our heart and our mind. And this is the central question, isn't it? What do you do when your gut is screaming one thing, but your rational brain is methodically laying out a completely different case? How in the world do you find the right path forward when you feel like you're being pulled apart from the inside? And I love how this breaks down that internal tug of war. The heart, it isn't just about chaotic feelings, it's the seat of our intuition, our empathy. And the mind, it isn't just cold calculation, it's about applying logic, drawing from past experience, and carefully weighing future consequences. The real challenge is honoring both of these powerful inputs without letting one completely silence the other. Okay, so we've defined the problem, we've looked at the internal conflict, now let's get practical. It's time to build your very own navigation toolkit, a set of concrete steps you can actually turn to when you find yourself lost in one of these moral messes. So here they are, the 4 key tools that make up your toolkit. First, you let the decision marinate. Second, you weigh the pain involved. Third, if it's even possible, you try a trial run. And finally, you trust your intention. Let's take a closer look at what these actually mean. Step 1 is absolutely crucial. Let it marinate. You have to resist the urge to rush a life-altering decision. You need to give yourself time to breathe, to really walk through all the what-ifs. This could mean journaling about it, or writing down pros and cons, or talking it through with a trusted friend who will just listen. The key thing here is to think about the long-term path for you, because at the end of the day, you're the one who has to live with the consequences of your choice. Now for step 2, and this is often the hardest part, weighing the pain. Look, this is a pragmatic and frankly a very difficult calculation. When your choice is inevitably going to cause pain, either to you or to someone else, the question becomes, who is more resilient in this situation? Whose pain is more likely to be temporary? It's a really tough, uncomfortable question to ask, but avoiding it doesn't make the dilemma or the potential pain just go away. And that brings us to step 4. Sometimes, no matter how much you analyze it, no matter how long you let it marinate, the outcome is just a complete unknown. In those moments when you can't control the result, the only thing you can control is your intention. And if you act from a place of genuine care and integrity, well, that is a respectable, valid attempt. It's a powerful guide, even if the result isn't exactly what you hoped for. But you're not always flying blind. In addition to the tools in your toolkit, you also have this huge database of personal experience to draw from. So let's move on and see how this builds, finding guidance from your own past. Just take a second and think about the biggest mistakes you've ever made, the choices you truly, deeply regret. Well, it turns out that those moments, the ones that might still sting a little bit, they aren't just sources of shame. They are your most valuable, most useful guides for the future. And that's a really key shift in perspective. So why are they so useful? Because chances are you've faced some version of this dilemma before. Your past errors, they aren't just failures, they're data points. They teach you about your own patterns, about real-world consequences, and about what truly matters to you deep down. And that data, it often becomes useful in the most unexpected moments, offering a little flicker of clarity right when you need it most. So you have your toolkit for the present, and you have the wisdom from your past. But what happens when the confusion is so thick that even those things feel out of reach? This brings us to our final, and maybe most important idea, the smallest lantern. Just picture it. You're in a moment of overwhelming darkness. You're completely disoriented by confusion, and you can't see the full path ahead. Every direction feels wrong or uncertain. In that moment, it helps to remember this. Even the smallest lantern can embarrass the darkest cave. It's such a simple but powerful image. The meaning here is just so profound. You don't need to have the entire future mapped out. You don't need a perfect, flawless answer to move forward. All you need is a tiny flicker of light, one small piece of clarity, one moment of courage, one honest intention. That little bit of light is enough to completely disrupt the overwhelming darkness of fear and indecision. So, the final thought I want to leave you with is this. In your next difficult choice, when you're standing in that dark cave of uncertainty, what will be your lantern? Will it be your core intention? A hard-won lesson from your past? Maybe a quiet moment of intuition? Whatever it is, know that it doesn't have to be big to light your way. It just has to exist.